I'm Doug Massey, and in today's video, I'll be addressing agent saturation in the final expense and/or life insurance sales industries, and we'll be answering the questions: is the final expense and life insurance market oversaturated with agents? Or should I even consider entering the life insurance and/or final expense sales industries? Let's start with a thumbs up, and I do suggest subscribing if you're a new viewer. We're putting out final expense sales training videos and life insurance sales content like all the time. The last time that I went out in the field to sell final expense insurance, which, face-to-face basis, and this was just a couple of years ago, well, things were a lot different than like the first time that I did it. Back in the day. Not only did we start seeing a lot of the same clients and/or prospects, it became very common for me to sit down with a potential client only to find out that they already have like multiple life insurance policies. I can assure you, 15 years ago, it was not like this. I was able to make like a handful of sales in a single day, and I'm pretty sure that if I were to try to do that same thing today, I'd be lucky to make like maybe a couple per day. And guys, stick around to the end of the video. I'm going to show you how to get a copy of the Social Security billing calendar that shows you the exact day of each month that your disability, VA, and/or Social Security recipients, your clients, all receive their monthly benefits. So back to the saturation issue. When it comes to selling life insurance and final expense on a face-to-face, belly-to-belly basis, yes, agent saturation can be an issue. But thankfully, that's why we've got telesales, remote final expense sales. And let's just back up a bit. It's not just agent saturation that's the issue with the face-to-face sales. The return on investment with direct mail leads is simply not there the way that it was just a few years ago. And direct mail, really, back when I was selling face-to-face, was like the only way to go. And full disclosure, there are some little pockets across the country where you can still get a decent return and where the agent saturation doesn't really have as much of an effect as like other places. I've also noticed how some insurance agents are just super strong. And for this type of agent, they're able to make it work in those areas, those better areas. So again, we're talking about a majority of the US that's kind of rough, not everywhere. And a good example of a huge fail is like Miami. You will never hear of a top producing final expense face-to-face agent working in Miami. I mean, it's just not happening. And let's go back in time just a little bit. Over 10 years ago, for like $26 per lead card, I used to have access to a direct mailer that was very clear to the prospects that if they filled out the card and mailed it back in, an insurance agent would be in contact with them, basically in reference to buying life insurance, burial insurance, or final expense life insurance. Nowadays, you can't even get the same level of high intent verbiage, and even worse, for like $40 or more per direct mail lead card, the verbiage is completely misleading. And most of the folks who fill these things out are really, well, they're kind of hoping to get some type of help from Social Security or Uncle Sam, or some type of freebies, some free benefits that they don't have to pay for, or they actually just get. I mean, the verbiage is bad. One of the most popular lead cards says something like, I don't know, you may qualify for a state-regulated program to pay for your final expenses even if you've been turned down before, something like that. For more information, simply fill out the card and stick it in the mail. No mention of cost, no mention about this being an insurance product. So when you go knocking on the client's door with the lead in hand, or you call to set the appointment, they're gonna often ask, is this life insurance? And then if you say yes, they'll say, oh, we already have that. We thought that was something else. And basically, they'll slam the door in your face. I mean, at this point, they just want to get rid of you. On the other hand, let's talk about telesales and agent saturation. And interesting enough, just like with face-to-face sales, there are more agents selling life insurance products over the phone than like we've ever seen before. I mean, like a lot more. The ability to generate through like Facebook and like TikTok advertising, the ability to generate an affordable and viable lead has become readily available to the general public. And honestly, now it seems like every insurance agent in the country has at least attempted to generate their own Facebook leads, through the Facebook advertising thing. And lead vendors have all gotten into the final expense space to generate their own internet, Facebook, and or social media leads too. I mean, like every single one of these guys. So the question is, how bad is agent saturation? And even better, should you actually get into final expense and or life insurance telesales or not? And here's the thing, and it's been my experience that even though the remote sales type of final expense scenario is very saturated, most of the agents are just not really good. I mean, they're just not capable of overcoming like basic objections, and therefore, if you have the right skill set and or are maybe like a talented professional salesperson, someone who's good enough to do one call close sales, then the final expense and life insurance market, in my opinion, is actually wide open. There's companies like ours, for example, there's a lot of companies that do this, that basically will take on newly licensed agents, give them what we do is a personality assessment. And if the agent actually has some of the traits that we look for and that we see in like successful professional salespeople, then we'll work with them. We'll train them up, we'll show them exactly how to deal with objections in like an effective manner, and basically give them the ability to become a top producer. Using this type of assessment test that I just mentioned has become pretty common in the life insurance industry, and even like through different types of insurance sales. And it's really allowed us to separate like the insurance agents into like 3 different categories. Category 1, these are agents with like an aggressive personality type, take no prisoners, never give up. Then you got category 2, agents who are maybe a little bit more passive and potentially less likely to be able to understand the aggressive nature of a one-call close. And then there's category 3, the agents who tend to maybe intellectualize everything, which ends up, in 2 different categories. So they tend to break up one way or the other. Agents who work hard to be their best, and agents who kind of like overthink things and basically give up after their first week or 2. At the end of the day, the answer is no. The final expense and or life insurance markets are not saturated. And if you're a talented and or professional salesperson, I want to say the right person with the right insurance agency can and will do really well. I mean, you can potentially earn hundreds of thousands of dollars per year and really help out a lot of people while doing so. Selling final expense insurance and other life insurance products isn't for everybody. But guys, when you put these type of products, these type of insurance products into the hands of a hardworking and well-trained professional, that insurance agent can do really well in our industry and have an extremely lucrative career. If you'd like a copy of the Social Security billing calendar mentioned earlier at the beginning of the video, just email me at doug@ufesonline.com. If you'd like more information on working with us on our independent agent platform or our subsidized free no-cost leads platform, just shoot me an email at that same address. As always, when you put the needs of your clients first, everything else will usually fall right into place. Now get out there, and whatever happens, you make sure that you do something good for someone else today. Happy hunting.